I did a 7-day water fast at Dr. Gracies Wellness Clinic in Ohio. I did a CT scan before I went, and then I did a CT scan after I got back from this 7-day water fast. And the results changed my life forever. But those scans did not come easy. I had to work really hard for them. I had to not cheat. And I hear this from so many different cancer patients as they say that they want it. They say that they're holistic, but they cheat. They sneak brownies and they sneak cookies. And then when they die, everybody says, oh, well, she was holistic. I saw her. She drank juice. She juiced a spinach once. I buried 3 friends. It's the chemo people that don't make it. So you can't cheat. Number 2 is you have to drink way more water than you think. I learned that on my first fast. After that fasting, it's almost like ritualistic water drinking. Like that's kind of what you're doing to fill all the space. Like, are you bored? Drink more water, right? You want to have fun? Shake the water first, then drink it. You know what I mean? Like you have to come up with ways. And that's actually number 3 is you have to have routines. If you are going to get scans that are going to change your life, you have to have routines that get you through day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6. By the time day 7 came around for me, I had these routines. Okay, so this was my 7-day fasting clinic routine. Wake up every day at 8 a.m. and I went downstairs fully dressed. It was important for me to wear clothes and not be in my pajamas all day, so I would have the attitude of a winner. I would have the attitude of like, I'm alive, I've got a job to do. I mean, I didn't wake up at 8. I was waking up at like 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and I would fill the time, Bible reading, whatever the case might be, really just lying in bed, a lot of it. The first thing I did is I went to the wood cutting area to pray. So the wood cutting area, it's where they chop wood, lots of wood and stuff lounging around. So it was beautiful in the morning, and I'd stay there sitting on a log for like an hour, and I'd pray, and I would contemplate the things of the Lord. Then after that time, I would go to the bench. Now, the bench was a big part of my experience. At about 9 o'clock, 9:30, the sun was directly on the bench. It was this perfect time, and I'm sitting there on the bench just sun gazing and just taking in all the vitamin D and relaxing. And I'm thinking to myself, somebody put this bench here so I could enjoy this sunlight, so that we could enjoy the sunlight here. And it was wonderful. So I would sit there and sun gaze for 2 hours, listening to music, YouTube videos. I wasn't watching anything, just in my ears, soft. If I got bored or my legs hurt, I would just get up and maybe walk in a circle for a minute. But I wouldn't leave the area because I had a plan. I had a routine. These were like jobs I had to do. And this is how you pass the time. So at 12 p.m., I'd get up from the bench. I'd walk around the property, and I would end up at the front porch. And that was right around lunchtime. And I made a habit of enjoying meal times with the other people, but I didn't sit at the table with them. I would sit near them where I could smell the foods, and I could have this imaginary meal with them. And that really helped me to feel satiated and to not focus on the pain. You also come into this real great place of gratitude over the smell of fruit. You really come to appreciate what pineapple smells like. After lunch, I would walk around the house again, and I would end up on a chair that was kind of in the side yard area. Again, facing the sun. It was in this perfect place. I didn't put the chair there. Somebody else did. But right at that time, I was in that chair and I was sun gazing. And at this time, I was listening to music again, maybe doing something a little bit different, right? Like if I did, like rock music in the morning, maybe I would do some hip hop in the afternoon or whatever your flavor is. But I tried to have shifts. I'm going to listen to this, then I'm going to listen to that, right? While I was there, discovered James Taylor. Had no idea about James Taylor. Fire and Rain. Incredible stuff.
I've seen fire and I've seen rain. I've seen sunny days that I thought would never end.
So I'm in that chair for about an hour. Then I would walk around the property again before ending up on the back porch for the sunset, where I would enjoy the sunset. At around sunset, I would move into the house to go read a book. I would read a book until dinner time. At dinner time, I sat on the stairs. I smelled the smells. And then after dinner, that was my cleanup time. Now you can't shower, Dr. Gracie's, and I explained why in the last video. But after all of that, I would go into my room and I'd begin my nighttime routine. So nighttime routine was kind of like party time. It's like get in your pajamas and watch movies. So that's kind of what I did is I watched movies. I ended up watching Dope Sick, finished that in 2 days. Amazing series and relevant to where I was. I watched the movie Heal, watched a lot of healing and therapeutic type movies and cried a lot, watched movies that, I haven't seen since I was a kid, The Never Ending Story, The Family Dog, Brad Bird's first animated film, and just laughed and cried and emoted before I would fall asleep. Inevitably toss and turn because I was dehydrated and didn't drink enough water. And then I would get up again and I would follow that same routine over and over and over again. Now, that was my routine for getting through the days. And as I went through those days, I began to just look at my fasting app and count down the minutes because more than anything, I wanted to just get home, be with my family again. But I also, I wanted to get that CT scan so I could know if it was working. I didn't know if it was going to work. When I got home, I got a CT scan that changed my life forever. So let's talk about the CT scan results. So the before scan had shown some significant reduction in my tumors from the original diagnosis. So when I got the before scan, here are some details. The before scan was 12 months after my original diagnosis. So I had already been doing metabolic therapy for a year. I'd already shrunk the tumors dramatically, but the tumors were still there, alive and active, and there were a few of them. I want to say that there were like nine major spots, okay? But the after scan was much different. When I went to go get the after scan, I want to tell you what the doctor said to me. So I had gone in there to look at the scans, and my regular doctor was on maternity leave. And I knew she was having a baby, and I was kind of glad she was going to be gone, to be honest with you, because we didn't get along very well. She didn't believe in me. She didn't believe in the science. And she wouldn't look it up either. When we got sick, my doctor, my oncologist told me, send us whatever articles you have. And we sent them tons, and they never responded to a single one. They didn't say, I read this, I'm not sure I agree. Or they didn't say, oh, and this is a garbage article, They didn't even like acknowledge that they received them. Right. And I know so many of you share that same story. Where you're being gaslit by your oncologist. That was my experience, right? She told me to my face that the stuff I was doing would not work and that I would eventually die. And she goes, you need to kind of like get to grips with that, right? Refuse to die. Like you have to refuse to die because your oncologist might actually be rooting for the cancer. Just think about that. Okay, so she was on maternity leave, praise the Lord. So I get a brand new doctor there and immediately, I'm a marketer. That's what my business does. So I loved that because it's like, I'm going to get like a clear reading, right? Like a non-biased reading. Like this woman doesn't know what I'm doing. She doesn't know about who I am and like all the things. So she was also the only doctor the entire time who put my scans on a screen and showed me what she saw. I immediately was like, I didn't know we could do this. She put my CT scans right in front of me and I was like, wait a minute, you can do that? Here, I've been with this other doctor for a year and she's never put my scans up where I could look at them. And so I was instantly engaged and I begin looking like, I don't know what I'm looking for, but I'm like, looking for something. It's like red areas, white areas, bumpy, or I don't know what I was looking for. But doctor, she's really nice. She's like looking at the screen, and she's like, why are you here? That's what she said to me. She's looking at the screen and she says to me, why are you here? And I go, because I'm pissed. I'm like, aren't you read the notes? Like even my hair cutter reads the notes. I asked like for my cancer. I'm here for the cancer. And she goes, I don't see any cancer here. That's it, guys. That's the scan that changed my life. And I'm a skeptic. So obviously I was like, hang on, doc, show me what you're looking at here. And I went through like 9 major active sites. And she said, they're like freckles all over my body. And she goes, yes. She goes, yes, I can see where there once may have been some cancer. Okay. But they are not lighting up. And I don't see any metabolic activity. I said, so then what would you recommend for me? And she goes, well, I would recommend that you don't do any more chemo. And that was maybe one of the best days of my life. But I continued to press her because I wanted to be sure. So we had these tremendous scans, and I kind of went through this process with this doctor. I didn't belabor it. And about a month later, I went back to go see my regular oncologist so that she could review the same scans with me, right? It was more of a way for them to charge me. It was an unnecessary meeting. But we met and she wanted to review those scans with me. And she looked at them and she goes, yes, this is very good, but your cancer is going to come back and you are going to die from this. And I looked at her and I said, thank you for reminding me. You've given me a lot to think about. And I left her office. And I never went back to her. And to this day, I have not seen an oncologist. I have not gone back to the medical system. I have not put any more chemo into my veins. No more pharmaceuticals. I knew in that moment that my doctor was more interested in her commission than she was in my survival. And I never went back to her again. And I committed my life to healing naturally and getting healthier along the way. It's what we call the metabolic approach to cancer. And there's been a lot of books written about it. The Metabolic Approach to Cancer by Dr. Nasha Winters, who is not just an industry celebrity, but she's kind of become my friend. There's another book called The Summary of a Metabolic Approach to Cancer, and that's by Dr. Thomas Seyfried, and that's an amazing book. And it has like some audio accompaniments that I think make it more understandable. Dr. Seyfried has a way of talking to regular everyday people in a way that really makes sense. And he's got study upon study that backs up and demonstrates what he's talking about. But there's a lot of information out there about fasting and juicing and keto vegan and carnivore and keto and all these different things. And there's value in all of them. There is, but you don't always know what you're supposed to do. And you don't always know how much you're supposed to do it. So that's why we created a private group called the Beat Cancer With Me Circle. This is a private community made for cancer patients and for their caregivers. I would say 90% of our members are cancer patients, but the other 10% are sisters and mothers and brothers and that sort of thing. Right now, the group membership is only $10. I don't know when you're watching this. It might be more. I don't know. I hope not, but that's just the reality of costs, and more people join. And it's like, we got to make sure they all get taken care of. But here's what we do in the Beat Cancer Circle. This is a community where you can join. And every single month, we bring on a different doctor, therapist, or a clinician who has an active history with beating cancer. And they come on and to share, some advice for us. And then you get to ask them questions. You get to ask questions to a doctor every single month. And sometimes we have more than one call. If a doctor can't do it at our regularly scheduled time, but they can do it another time, well, we'll just do it again. There's also a private group membership with some training videos and sort of like how to navigate cancer and different resources and some AI tools for helping you understand your scans and things like that. And so if you're a cancer patient or a caregiver and you want to become a part of a community, and so I want to invite you to join that community. There's a link in the description box below, and join us. Our goal, our number one goal, is to see you beat cancer. Now, I've got some other videos on the channel as well if you want to geek out on some other videos. I've got a whole bunch of videos on fasting. If you want to go down that rabbit hole, watch this one now. It's been a pleasure meeting with you. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.